significant rotation transactions. The one that went down today, Chris Paul signing with the Clippers, a 1-year deal for the minimum. Pretty good value for a player who's was a full-time starter last year in San Antonio, and I mean full-time. Started all
full-time as you can get.
Yeah. Actually, I want to say something about the Clippers. I don't know what it's worth. Bobby Marks cooked up this number earlier. The guys on their bench and their second unit, and if everybody's healthy, which who knows. But the guys in their second unit, and we're talking basically Brook Lopez, Chris Paul, Bradley Beal being the three core guys they had.
John Collins.
Yeah, John Collins, he says is a starter, but I think he has.
I would flip Collins and Beal, but we'll discuss. Go on.
Well, whatever. He has said they got 287 games of starting last year. So they've got 2 starting units. Now, whether both of them should be starting units is a different situation. But Chris Paul signs with the Clippers. Look, he could have signed somewhere else and gotten a bigger role. Milwaukee was in there. Dallas was in there. Not sure.
Phoenix.
That would have been that Phoenix. I think Chris Paul is interested in Phoenix. I'm not sure the Suns were serious contenders for him at the end. I would be interested to see him. How would that D'Angelo Russell, Chris Paul rotation have worked, McMahon? That would have been interesting.
I think that one was more D'Angelo Russell or Chris Paul, but certainly Milwaukee was an option right up until the end. And listen, he could have gone, he could have gone to Milwaukee and been their starting point guard.
Right.
This season, he chose to go back to the Clippers. And he chose to take a smaller role to be a full-time dad is one big factor.
Yeah, so here's the thing I'm not sure about. So first off, Chris Paul at $3.6 million is an excellent value, even at 40 years old. I think last year he still had a 7 to 1.5 assist to turnover ratio. Still very efficient overall, still can run your offense, still will be a great leader. But it was interesting, the Clippers press release about this. Lawrence Frank is quote, he made it very clear Chris is coming here to be a reserve guard. Which, from what I understand, James Harden was on board with this signing, but McMahon, just in case anybody had any doubts, that James Harden will be the starter, and reserve guard was in there. I think those were key Warriors. Chris Paul obviously came off the bench 2 years ago when he was traded to the Warriors. He didn't choose that situation, but he was traded there. And he came off the bench the majority of the games backing up Steph Curry. But he's been a starter 98% of his career, 95% of his career. But I just think it's interesting that the Clippers made very clear in their release, Chris Paul's coming here to come off the bench. And I'm sure he understands that. I'm sure Harden's on the same page with everything like that. But just think it should be noted that that's what the plan is.
Yeah, that exact sentence is, he is joining us as a reserve point guard and is excited to fill whatever role T. Lue asks him to play. Which is interesting.
Something tells me that was a negotiated sentence, one way or another.
Yeah, and look, last year he went to San Antonio. I would say there are probably two major reasons that he went to the Spurs: money and a starting role. They offered both. That was part of the negotiation. This is very clear. He's not coming to the Clippers to start. There's no surprises here. There's no, there shouldn't be any bad blood, but there is going to be natural curiosity about how CP3 handles that, right? I mean, just CP3 at a minimum is a tremendous value addition. But is CP3 one of the most competitive, proudest dudes of this generation really gonna be okay to come in as a backup who might even sit out from time to time? Might even be an occasional DNP CD behind James Harden.
And Chris Dunn.
And dude,
why would it be a DNP CD? I don't really understand that. He's gonna immediately be one of the best backup point guards in the league. He was a solid average, if not above average starter last year. I mean, he didn't